a lot has happened over the course of the last week, right? I think last week, pretty much Harbaugh, I think, was pretty much the only coach that, and he hadn't even officially signed at that point. So now we got, kind of a lot of hires that have happened, right? We got Harbaugh to the Giants, Saleh to the Titans, we got Hafley to the Finns, Stefanski to the Falcons, and then we got Minter yesterday just signed with the Ravens. So now we got a lot of coaches kind of filled up. I guess before we kind of go through each of these and some of the still open vacancies, saw a weird thing with Mike McDaniel today with the Bills job, so we'll definitely touch on that. But up to this point, with the hires that have happened, who do you think has won in the coaching free agency right now?
Yeah, so I think it's very hard to judge some of the stuff in the coaching carousel because you never know when someone's going to be terrible at one place because of the culture and all that stuff, and then be super successful in another. So I think it comes down to a lot of different details and how they're going to run it all. I do think that John Harbaugh at the Giants is going to do very well. I think they have a young team. I think Harbaugh has a lot of experience. Super excited to see a guy like Jackson Dart. Hopefully Scadaboo can come back and be healthy because he's electric to play and, hopefully be able to protect himself a little bit. But, I think Harbaugh is definitely the one because he's fiending for a win, man. He's fiending to get over the hump and win some games. So I think the Giants hopefully have a bright future. I know it's tough to say that because I think I compare them almost like to the Dolphins.
They're very similar in that regard, 100%.
But I do think having John Harbaugh as somebody with the experience, what he's been able to do, he's definitely going to go in there and get something done. Maybe not be a playoff team in year one, but definitely be trending in the right direction.
Yeah, Dave. What are your thoughts so far on the carousel?
So just to piggyback on that, I agree in terms of the Harbaugh thing. I mean, he's won Super Bowls. He's one of the most established head coaches in the league. And I agree with that team being so young and having so much potential. I'm a huge Jackson Dart guy. And then Malik Neighbors comes back next year. Like, hopefully Scadaboo comes back too. Like, they've got so many pieces and they have a chance to obviously build on that again because they have another top 5 pick. So I agree with you being one. I do think Minter to the Ravens, though, is an awesome get for them. I really think in terms of the other head coaching spots, I really think Minter is a great replacement. I think what he did with the Chargers defense, I'm riding with him.
Yeah. According to Pooch, it's a Minter wonderland in Baltimore. I love that. That's sick. That's awesome.
That's the broadcast background right there. That's the tagline.
I like it.
Background right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I think that's a good point, Dave. I mean, it's hard to go against like Harbaugh. Obviously with the success that he had in Baltimore, a lot of talent on that Giants team. Young, and then you got a great defensive line over there. I just think it's like a good fit and just a great opportunity, right? But to me, I think something interesting is the Robert Saleh one in Tennessee, right? I don't think anybody I know, but hear me out. The Jets are a disaster of an organization. So how can we gauge Robert Saleh off of what happened in New York?
I don't know what they're looking for out of him.
I get it. I don't know if it's the right fit, but I am just more intrigued to see.
That's my problem.
Yeah, Saleh as a head coach again. That's where I think it's interesting.
I think
you have
the
a young
biggest thing
quarterback,
for them,
so why didn't you bring an offensive guy into the fold? That's kind of my, I guess, biggest gripe about it. But maybe you bring in the right, OC to kind of be that guy, and then you kind of let Saleh with his experience and then getting, kind of building a defense again in the 49ers and kind of running it back, kind of getting a little bit more experience under his belt. I do think this second iteration of him getting another run at it could be be good for him. But I do agree.
Terrible in him not have another career.
That's fair,
job
which we've seen. We've seen with guys like McDaniel, the OC at New England, right, where he just hasn't had success as a head coach.
McDaniels.
Yeah, right. So it is interesting to see for Saleh.
I agree with you in the sense of I thought that was actually the most kind of head scratching one. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you in the sense of I think the most important hire for him is going to be who they bring in at OC. Obviously, they picked Cam Ward first overall. They've got a young QB. They've got some weapons. I think they got to build out that even more so. But I think who he hires as an OC is going to be very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I look at, Saleh, obviously, Mike McDaniel, right? I think he did it the smartest way out of all these coaches because obviously, right, been in Miami for so long, wasn't able to get it done. But instead of, looking at, a head coaching job, I know at the Browns or whatever it might have been, that would have just plummeted his career.
I agree.
He decided to take a step back, look in the mirror. What am I good at? What am I successful at? Okay, I've had successful offenses. So let me go to a team that has guys that can be successful and let me get back on the map, right? Let me be a big time play caller. Let me be successful with another organization to then eventually have that opportunity to work his way back up the pedestal. Because if you have these coaches nowadays that are unsuccessful with one organization, go somewhere else, can't get it done, you're getting kicked out the club. These college coaches are now moving up, or someone that is successful at an OC somewhere else is getting hired. So I think Mike McDaniel did it best by taking an OC job and hopefully being able to get it done. Yeah, not official yet.
Not official yet.
Not official.
Which I thought it was.
Yeah,
dude,
not official, but
I really think that he might end up in Buffalo. Like I really do. Like I don't know. Like it's
either
today's
way.
interviews and in person. Like I don't know. I just think if he doesn't, though, I agree with everything you guys said. I think the Chargers are a perfect fit for him. I think this is a great opportunity to showcase how good he is, especially like the offensive genius and guru that we saw here in Miami. Now being able to do that, obviously he's got Herbert, he's got some weapons. Hopefully they get guys back on the line that'll make it easier for him. But I think it is a great move. And I always thought that his next move after leaving Miami would be an OC job to build himself back up like that. I think this is the right move if he takes it, of course.
Either way, right? Of course, here we are as the Dolphins, and he has the chance to either go to Buffalo, one of our bigger rivals, or go to the biggest debate of the Tua era, which was Herbert or Tua, right? Yeah. And now he has a chance to either go against our biggest rival or be with the guy that hypothetically everybody maybe wanted over Tua at that time.
And watch, he's going to go win a Super Bowl or something.
Of course, that would be the most dominant shit ever.
100%.
It would be the most dominant
100%. Yeah. No,
Mike and Josh Allen
agree.
would be kind of electric, though.
Yeah.
Dude,
How about Phillip Rivers?
Am I the only one? Am I the only one who thinks that like the McDaniels and Buffalo thing could work? Like, I don't know. Like, I think it's like kind of scary to think about. I don't want to think about it, but
it could definitely.
I don't know. Like, I have this weird feeling that like, I mean, obviously you're pairing up one of the best quarterbacks in the league with this offensive guru. Granted, we've seen some things like how Mike will handle that situation, but like, dude, that'd be kind of a scary situation. That's the last thing I want. I don't want this guy in my division.
How about, as Pooch said, Phillip Rivers in Buffalo?
Please hire Phillip Rivers. Like, I love Phillip Rivers, dude. But he went from coaching high school to then being the head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
He's got coaching experience. I don't see what the issue is.
Yeah, I guess, but so do I. I coached a bunch of 12-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like hire me then, because like I'll tank for you. But yeah, I don't know. I think, granted, Phillip Rivers is a great football mind. Like we know that, and the guy just came back from being 44 years old and just played an NFL game. It's pretty crazy, but
for the insurance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Insurance.
Yeah, 100% for the insurance.
And almost won.
But yeah. So listen. Who knows? He's going to prove me. He'll prove me wrong for sure. I just think it'd be kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I'm down for it because, like, who knows? It's a wild card. It's like,
not even like
this could either be really good or really bad.
He's like OC job
Right,
or like a pass game coordinator.
He would be starting.
exactly.
He would be starting something that would be insane in the NFL, because if he got that done, every single former quarterback or former player is I just want the head coach job now. I can do it.
Right.
Da, da, da. So I think if he's able to get that done and not only just go in there but be successful, teams might be looking in a different direction.
100%. And just
sure.
It's just Phillip Rivers in general, what he did this year, right? He comes after playing for 4 years and then goes and gets a starting job immediately, right? So then it's like all these like aspiring quarterbacks that are on practice squads right now that didn't get a shot. They were just like, no, we're going to call Phillip Rivers, right? And then now here we go in the head coaching cycle, and all these aspiring coordinators and all these different coaching positions, guys that have like been grinding it out, and all of a sudden Phil, that's been coaching a high school football team, is getting a call for an NFL coaching job.
It's crazy. Wingo, when you said that it was going to start something, I thought like the first thing that popped to mind is that he's going to actually name himself the starter now that he's got full control of head coach. He's going to bench Josh Allen, and he's taking the reins. All Philly. Hey.
That would be wild. That'd be wild. So we talked a lot about the current coachings spots have been filled, but you still got some interesting jobs like available. You got the Raiders, right, with the number 1 overall pick right now, right? You got Arizona, which doesn't seem to be a very hot destination right now, considering the situation there. And then you got Buffalo, obviously, which we talked about with Mike and Phillip Rivers. And then we still got the Browns open, right?
Browns, yep.
And then Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Well, Baltimore took
Baltimore got it. Yeah.
So Pittsburgh, right? So there's still some jobs open, right? I think the 2 most intriguing right now are the Raiders, obviously, because of the number 1 overall pick, and then obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have been a playoff team or in contention pretty much every single year with Tomlin now out. What the hell is going to go on there?
Yeah, and I think there's 2 things I definitely want to highlight. One is in Pittsburgh, right? You have a successful team over the past, 19 seasons, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not able to bring in a guy and get it done, I think that whole program just goes downhill
fast.
I think you have a lot of guys with talent on that team. Get rid of Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
Get rid of him. I know he's an elite quarterback. He's going to be a Hall of Fame. He's
they've been
amazing.
doing that rental shit with the quarterbacks now for a couple years.
Just get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Let's bring in somebody that we can develop, at least so if it doesn't work out with the new coach right away in year 1, you're developing a quarterback. You're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And just with Aaron Rodgers, you're not building anything. You're not going to, you're just looking off for a one-off with him at this point, rather than looking at the business aspect of it. So I think that's something that they definitely need to figure out.
Yeah. It's like Tomlin's just been holding on to what this team, his identity is, right? Which is kind of just like, okay, we're good. But reality is, like, they're not really doing anything to evolve this team, right?
Yep.
It was Russell before, then it was Aaron Rodgers, and it's always like, oh, we're a quarterback away. But like, to your point, they're not really building anything. Where's the franchise guy? Who's the guy that's going to lead this team to continued success over the year? And it almost feels like now that Tomlin's out, if they don't get this right, it'll blow up.
Yep.
And then, the other job to me, which I think is interesting, is the Raiders, right? Obviously, we talked about Mendoza early on, number 1 overall pick over there.
Tom Brady's got to have something crafting up.
100%.
I know they're
100%.
trying to make sure they get it right. Tom is somebody who's very critical. Goes by the analytics. He's looking for somebody that's willing to come in. If they can get a guy like Mendoza, it's like, let's surround the entire team around him.
Yeah.
He's going to be not only just a game changer, but an organization changer because of what he can do in the locker room.
Yeah.
You have I know. So one of the things I always heard is like a college locker room is much different than an NFL locker room. Obviously, because you got guys that are now have whole families. You have guys who are age difference of like 22 to 40 now, and it is very different. But when you look at these teams that are successful, like the Patriots and the Rams, and like these teams are bought in. Like these teams want to do things the right way and do the little things and showing up and not just collecting a paycheck. Like these teams are doing all the right things, and that is something that Mendoza prides himself on.
Yep.
So if the Raiders are able to get him into that organization with a big time head coach or somebody that can get the job done, I think they're going to surround it around him, and they can start moving in the right direction. Obviously they have Ashton Genty last year. Hopefully being able to open up things for him. They have some potential. So I'm curious if even Tom's thinking in the back of his head, why can't I be head coach?
Right. I mean, he's going to be involved in Fernando's,
for sure.
I don't know.
Upbringing and huh?
Oh, me? I just said for sure.
Oh no, I was just.
Yeah, he's keeping his mouth shut. I think he knows something that we could find out.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that job's interesting, and I don't know much as to who they've even interviewed up to this point. I feel like I haven't heard.
Yeah, I haven't seen it buzz around.
They've been keeping it very close.
Yeah, which makes me believe that maybe a guy like McDermott can come in late now into this and maybe have a chance. But I do think that's interesting. Jobs like Cleveland and jobs like Arizona, unfortunately, seem to be.
I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah.
It's just not appealing.
Yeah.
It's not some place I
The
want
Browns
to
have
go.
tried to. They definitely done their due diligence of trying to interview people, right? But it doesn't seem like it's led to anything.
Everyone keeps backing out.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps literally please no. Like, I don't want to be there.
And those are
crazy.
two organizations where that's your opportunity now to go for a lower tier guy.
Right.
That's your opportunity. Stop chasing the head coaches that have been head coaches or trying to go somewhere else. That's where you go for an OC or a DC somewhere, someone that's looking to step up their career and take that next step. So, It's potential, but you got to look the right way. I know they've shot their shots a million different ways, but you got to look at these organizations that are successful, and then who's really calling the shots,
right.
and who is really making the decisions in the background, like who's sitting at the table, who can I take from this table to now pour into my program and organization. So they definitely got a lot of work to do, but it's not very appealing if it were to be thrown out there to many people.
I mean, a coordinator name is Kubiak, from Seattle. I think he's one of those guys that maybe could end up at a Cleveland, could maybe be an interesting fit at the Raiders, right? So we'll see. There's still a lot to kind of figure out in the NFL right now.
I've got a name to toss out. I don't know if you guys saw this report or not, that the Steelers are supposedly interested in Mario Cristobal. Did you guys see this?
What? I did not see that.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you guys. I read it last night again.
I did see it.
Okay, but my question, I don't think so either, but my question was for Poochie. Was that what do you do if the Steelers come in and take your guy?
Oh man, I mean, I think we have a guy that could potentially be a head coach in Heatherman. I can see our DC maybe getting head coach opportunities and soon, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I mean, Cignetti's turning
I don't
out,
see it either.
no one's chasing Cignetti.
Would be crazy.
Listen, I will say, I know this for a fact that Mario Cristobal's favorite team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it.
I don't think he's going to. I will throw one on your radar though. I don't think it's going to be this year because Arch Manning is still there, and this is going to be their shot this next year to be in the playoffs and try and win it all. I think that Sarkson is a guy that we're going to see later on that's going to have his opportunity in the NFL. And, if they're not able to get it done this year out there in Austin, I do see those being opportunities to step up to the next level.
Yeah. His name's always kind of been like, I feel like floating in the NFL space for a while. And then, I mean, does Cignetti ever take an NFL job?
I don't think so.
No.
It's funny. I don't remember the exact number, so don't quote me on this if I'm wrong. But I think it was hilarious to see after 40 years, I think it was, he had earned, I think it was like $3.5 million. He's been chasing this dream for a long time. And now, I don't know what his new contract looks like. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But now he's going to make whatever it is, $8 to $12 million a year.
Right.
This guy has busted his butt to do all the right things and how he coaches and, just the old style way that he does it, pen and paper. You see him on the sidelines, calm and controlled. This guy has worked to achieve this dream and get it done, and he finally has now got there. I don't think he's the type of guy to abandon ship.
Yeah.
Right. He just built Indiana with freaking Mark Cuban in the NIL space, to finally get it done. I don't see him jumping ship and just leaving those guys out to dry. I think he's going to be there for a long period of time, and probably even finish his career out there.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. Well, I was going to say something. My bad.
I do got one more name that we haven't really brought up. And Kevin Stefanski going to Atlanta, and a little bit of drama there.
Yeah.
A little bit of Twitter.
Baker, that's right.
Over there in Atlanta.
Yeah, with Stefanski. That was what I also want to talk about the Anthony Weaver situation real quick too, and the Finns with Hafley because something Hafley said yesterday in his press conference is interesting. But yeah, pull up the Baker tweet. That was fun.
And also just about Stefanski in general. I mean, that's a 2-time coach of the year. I really think he did a lot with the Browns. So I actually do think it's a really good hire for Atlanta, but I love this. I love Baker. Like, I granted, I saw Joe Thomas get back to him too. This is
a year,
incredible.
Right? Same division.
Twice, same division, twice a year. He's going to be chirping. I'm curious to see if Stefanski says anything, especially obviously when the season starts and leading up to that game or something, but I think it's cool. I think Baker, Baker's talking his talk, man.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. I've been at a few games over in Tampa Bay, and just to watch his aura, everybody says, when it gets to that second half or the fourth quarter, what he's been able to do, he plays mean, he plays aggressive, he makes the throws. When you have guys like, Mike Evans, right, who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Baker Mayfield, he's been through the gauntlet. Right, when you look at all the way back at where he came from, transferring in college and then being able to get it done and now being in the NFL, he's been through a lot and he has no shame in it. He's a guy that, walks in the building, is ready to attack the day, get the job done, be a leader, now do like a lot of things the right way. and he's just a beast. You know, he walks out with the type of swagger that I think you want to see in your quarterback, right? You know, if I have a guy on my team like that is just, you know, walks around like a pimp sometimes, and making those throws in the corner and throwing touchdowns, man, I'm hyped up. That gets me fired up seeing a quarterback like that. So he's somebody that I think is just, you know, one of the all-time guys that just, you know, to see that tweet. You know, I know a lot of times you look at social media and, oh, why'd you tweet that? It's a bad look for you. I saw this tweet and I'm like, Bake, you're the man. You're the man.
No one even
Listen, as long as you can back it up, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's what Baker does. Yeah. He talks his talk and he backs it up with his plays. And I think when people do that, people are going to, you know, people are all for it, right? But when you talk that talk and you don't back it up, like a guy that played for the Finns at quarterback, you know, it came back to haunt him, you know? It's just the truth. It's unfortunate, man.
That's as you're decked out in Finn gear. Listen, I'm rocking too, so.
I rooted for Tua forever, man. I really did. Like I really wanted it to work. Unfortunately, I mean, which that's the whole thing. We don't even know what's going to happen with Tua.
No idea.
And as we figured out,
respect to the coach to coming in and saying that how he does love Tua, but that's the correct way to handle
absolutely.
it. Coming in and saying, hey, we have an utmost respect for Tua, but you know, at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for the team. That is a respectable answer.
It's the perfect answer.
The perfect answer. So to be able to come out like that right away and address that situation that everyone's kind of been questioned about. No one's kind of going to press him about it. Now he's going to go back to the drawing board and figure out how it's going to work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which real quick, you know, before we kind of finish up our coaching talk here, obviously there's a lot going on in the NFL. So, you know, there's a lot to talk about here, right? But we didn't talk about Hafley, you know, in Miami, right? I think we've all kind of been kind of transparent. Some people are not super excited about the hire, I guess you could say. Obviously, we all wanted Harbaugh, right? Like the Dolphins guys wanted Harbaugh. They didn't get him. So Hafley always is it Hafley, right?
Yeah, Hafley.
Oh, okay.
A little typo there.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn, am I messing it up or?
Fucci.
There's a typo. The text is small. I didn't see it. It's all good. We made a lot of graphics though. We have a lot of graphics.
Yeah. But, you know, he always felt like he was going to be the guy considering the ties to Sullivan, right? Yep. Green Bay guy. We are now officially the Green Bay Dolphins or, you know, the Miami Packers, however you want.
Miami Packers.
The Miami Packers. We might even be bringing in a guy for the offensive, you know, coordinator from Green Bay. So we're going all in on being the Green Bay Packers. So.
And maybe even the quarterback.
And Malik Willis. Yes.
Like, bro, whoa. I know. Like, legitimately, we're trying to live up to the name.
It's a little weird if you ask me, but whatever. I'm all for it. Hafley did say though, and this is what I was trying to get to, right? That he is going to be the defensive play caller. It's what he's comfortable with. It's what he knows. But we technically still have Anthony Weaver, right? He's in Pittsburgh, I think today, doing his second interview, right? So there is a chance, or maybe they feel something that he's going to take the head coaching job. I believe he also interviewed for the Arizona job as well. So there might be something, you know, like in this, all him saying that it looks like Weaver might be out, but he's not officially out. How does that dynamic work if, like, you keep a guy like Weaver?
Yeah, so Weaver's not going to stay, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to stay. Obviously, you know, that's when I go back to looking at, you know, these teams like Arizona and the Browns is where you're looking for that next upcoming guy. I'll tell you this. Arizona's defensive coordinator, Patrick Toney, just went over to the Ole Miss job. The Arizona Cardinals are looking to bring somebody in that can also call plays on defense. So Anthony Weaver, in my opinion, would be a great fit. He's somebody that's trying to elevate now, you know, his career, take that next step. You know, I think at Arizona, he would be good over there. So I don't think, you know, with the success and when you get all that buzz, you know, as a defensive coordinator and having interviews as a head coach, and then you get a new head coach and they say that he's going to call the defensive calls. Like, come on, I'm not going to sit back and just coach a position or something like that. Yeah. So he's definitely going to take the opportunity to, you know, take that next step in his career. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be over at the Arizona Cardinals.
I could see that for sure. But
that's a good call.
That is if Pittsburgh lets him walk.
Yeah,
today, because he might not walk after today's meeting. But yeah, I could see either Pittsburgh or Arizona, and then, you know, Hafley will end up being the DC or defensive play caller, and then we'll bring in kind of like a DC at some capacity into the fold. Because I think we also were going to look at the linebackers coach in Jacksonville as a guy. I don't know where we netted out with that. So that'll be interesting too. But yeah, a lot to figure out. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. One last thing on Hafley. But Hafley and Sullivan look like fucking brothers, bro. have you put this? I'm going to show it here. For anyone watching, like, pull up like a side-by-side from them. But look at this shit.
I got to find a way to put up live images at this point. Just search up stuff. And
he looks like Big Bro.
It's insane.
Yeah. He looks like.
Put your live screen, Trey. Let me put your live screen.
He looks like Big Bro.
Yeah, I was about to say,
you
like, I
probably
couldn't
can't see
anything.
that clearly.
Yeah.
No,
but I've seen him. I agree.
And like the more I see them side by side, I'm like, what the hell, bro? These guys could be twin brothers. Like, it's insane.
It's cool to see them doing things together. That's one thing I think is amazing to look at right now. Obviously, no games have been played, right? No games have been played yet. But it's cool to see them being on the same page. It's cool to see them having a common goal and understanding, all right, this is what we need to get done. This is how we do it. Now let's go out and attack. Let's attack the media. Let's attack, the critics and everybody. Make sure that everyone is understanding of what we're doing and how we're going to do it. And then before we actually, do make that decision, release it, let's make sure we're making the right one, because this is our opportunity to do it the right way. And I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. And what's the thing is, and we obviously joked about it, like the Miami Packers and like that. There's not many teams that you'd want to emulate more like the Packers.
Fair.
I mean, they've been one of these top teams for the last, forever, but like specifically really the last 25, 30 years. Like, they've been a great organization. And if we can reach those levels, it'd be a home run higher. So let's see what they do.
Yeah. And I'm, just like we talked about with Green Bay, get rid of, or the Steelers, get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Right. And for us, I think it's almost in the same boat. I think Quentin Ewers is a successful quarterback. He knows how to win. He's a smart kid. He's earning, the trust and the relationship and getting things dialed up with his receivers. I do think you have to bring in a quarterback. I do think we have to bring in somebody else if there was a possibility of releasing Tua, or however that might kind of work out. Because I don't see Tua, sitting in the back and helping Quentin to the best of his ability. I just don't see Tua as that guy, because you already saw, when he released his statement about saying how, I would love to try that, or whatever he said.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Let's see.
That's just right there, just bad quality, bad ball by him. So, I think you got to have somebody that's able to kind of take Quentin under his wing a little bit. Obviously, maybe a veteran guy that has a little bit more experience. But I do think Quentin can get it done. So maybe even, bringing a guy like Malik Willis, who's a different type of, obviously doesn't have the experience, but he's a different type of quarterback. You got two guys that can go, 1-1. You can have different packages for both, as well as just kind of let them battle it out. It's either got to be a battle between two young quarterbacks, or have a young quarterback and somebody with experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you saw Sullivan say it. He's like, I'm drafting a quarterback every year, or if not every other year, right? Because QB is the most important
Well, I hope
position.
not. I mean, listen, I hope not.
too.
I know he's joking, but I really hope not.
Which basically tells you, like, a guy like Malik Willis could come in. You got Quinn Ewers, and we're basically drafting a quarterback this year at some point, right? And he said it. He's like, it's all about value, right? But you never really know when it is that you're going to need that guy. And he alluded to that when they did it with Rodgers, and then they did it also with Jordan Love, right? So they're doing it now, and they've seen it, I guess, work, right? But then you can also make the argument like they probably could have used somebody else at that time when they drafted Jordan Love in the first round.
Well,
right? So, I mean, how much can you really look into the future when you need help now?
I know. I would be kind of. I mean, maybe not shocked. Shock's the wrong word, but I don't think we're going to take a quarterback this year. I do think we either bring somebody in, or we do let Quinn Ewers see what he's got, because I think the quarterback class next year is really special. So I think if you're going to take the risk on somebody, I think you maybe give it a year. But who knows? I could be totally wrong and they take somebody this year, but that class next year is shaping up to be really, really good. So like maybe it's like, hey, we've got this guy, he kind of started the last few games, looked pretty solid. It looks like maybe we can do something here. Or we bring in somebody else, like a Malik Willis. So we'll see what they do.
You got to take a step back too and realize that this dead cap space, right? You can't almost bring in a veteran quarterback that wants to get paid, right? You got to figure out ways. So I do agree with your point there, and kind of waiting more to the next year if they're able to push it past June 1st, and spread that dead cap into 26 and 27 so that they can do that. And also it's, can you draft somebody that high? No. So I think you're going to have to take the opportunity of having a late round draft at quarterback. This is where I think you either go for, my personal favorite, Trinidad Chambliss. I think he is somebody that comes in with a lot of potential. I think he can sling the rock. And I also just think he can move the ball, well. He's commanding. He knows what he's doing. He's comfortable. He's been in big time situations. Obviously, he won the national championship in the younger division, and then was able to do what he did this year.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who's dedicated. He's willing to build the bricks to make the house.
Right.
And I think that's somebody that Miami definitely needs in their organization.
Yeah, I'd love that. That's for damn sure. I mean, we saw him in that Ole Miss game. He was slinging it around. So bring him over to Miami.